All right, get ready for this deep dive. We're taking on a journey through a single book this time, one that's captured hearts around the world.
Ah, Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist.
That's it. We're walking alongside Santiago, a shepherd who's looking beyond his flock, seeking something he can't quite grasp, except maybe in dreams.
It's captivated readers globally. Some have called it, well, a sweetly exotic tale for young and old alike.
I saw another one that called it an adventure story full of magic and wisdom.
Right. Quite the acclaim. But why? What is it about this book?
Well, it's deceptively simple. On the surface, it's a treasure hunt. But underneath, well, it taps into this universal yearning we all have for purpose, for that unique path that, what's the word Coelho uses?
Personal legend.
Yes. And he suggests that when you truly desire something, the entire universe conspires to help you achieve it. Powerful stuff.
It truly is. And it's that very idea that sets our protagonist, Santiago, on his path. It's not just a thirst for adventure, but a recurring dream.
About treasure, right?
At the Egyptian pyramids, specifically. And then he has this pivotal encounter.
With Melchizedek.
The wise old king, precisely. He introduces the concept of the personal legend and essentially tells Santiago, go for it.
He doesn't offer a map, though, does he?
No, that's what's fascinating. Melchizedek doesn't give specific directions. He awakens Santiago to the signs, the omens that have already been present in his life. It makes you think, how often do we seek external guidance when the answers might be within?
Right. It's like he's saying, trust yourself.
Precisely.
And so Santiago takes a huge leap, sells his entire flock, heads off to Africa.
A bold move.
You'd think, okay, now the dream unfolds effortlessly.
Oh.
But that's not how it goes, is it?
Not quite. Almost immediately, he's robbed in Tangier.
Tough break. You'd think maybe this whole personal legend thing was a bad idea.
It's a critical test. Being stripped of his material possessions forces Santiago to confront attachment.
To see that maybe the journey itself has more value than any riches.
Exactly. He has to find work, ends up with a crystal merchant. Seems like a detour, but turns into a whole other education.
Right. Not a classroom education. He's learning about the world, human nature, the flow of business.
And he encounters this idea of maktub, the notion that certain things are destined.
But within that destiny, our choices still matter.
He's immersed in a completely different way of life. And through that, he starts to understand what Coelho calls the language of the world.
That's where the book really grabbed me. It's not a treasure map. It's like Santiago's tuning into a whole different layer of existence.
This interconnectedness, the soul of the world.
And it doesn't come easy, right? He's tested, challenged, forced to adapt and question his assumptions.
Like when he decides to join a caravan crossing the Sahara Desert, that's a life or death undertaking.
And some intriguing characters he meets along the way. The Englishman obsessed with alchemy, the camel drivers who are so attuned to the desert.
The desert itself becomes a metaphor, for this internal journey of self-discovery. Harsh, unforgiving, yet breathtakingly beautiful.
And after all that, he arrives at the oasis of El. You'd think, finally some peace, right?
A place of lushness amidst tribal wars, but that's where things get even more intricate, wouldn't you say?
He meets Fatima, and their connection, it throws his whole understanding of his personal legend into question.
It introduces this concept. Maybe his purpose isn't just about reaching a destination. Maybe it's about love, growth, and how those intertwine with the pursuit of his dreams.
And Fatima, she's remarkable. She doesn't try to hold him back.
She understands intuitively that his path needs to unfold, and that sometimes even love, true love, requires a temporary separation for both individuals to truly blossom.
Wise woman. She tells him, if I am truly a part of your dream, you will return.
Profound trust. And a recognition of that bigger picture at play.
It's like she speaks the language of the world too, huh? Knowing that forcing things would only disrupt the flow. But just as he's grappling with all this, danger approaches. An army threatens the oasis.
And it's in this looming crisis that Santiago taps into a gift he didn't even know he had. A vision. A premonition of what might be.
It's like almost the soul of the world nudging him toward a larger role. Something he couldn't have anticipated.
Yeah.
Right place, right time. Or maybe.
Right person, having gone through all these trials, all these experiences, ready for this moment, and it's this very crisis that leads him to the figure he's been searching for all along, the alchemist. The whole feel of this story changes when the alchemist enters, doesn't it?
Definitely shifts. How would you describe it?
It's like stepping from a brightly lit room into the desert under the moonlight.
Okay, I get that. You're still in the same landscape, but everything seems different.
Exactly. And it's not what you might expect. He's not some grand figure dispensing wisdom.
They're like,
A mischievous observer sees right through Santiago.
and nudges him along gently.
Remember those stones Melchizedek gave Santiago?
You remember the meme?
Right away, the alchemist recognizes their significance. He affirms that Santiago is on the right path. But then, instead of easy answer,
He becomes this mentor, this guide.
pushing Santiago to face his own fears, to really dig deep into his potential.
Like saying, look, the answers are within. You just got to learn to access them. There's that scene with the cobra, the venomous one. Remember?
Such a striking scene, the alchemist talks to it effortlessly.
It's both terrifying and kind of awe-inspiring. It's like Santiago is just starting to glimpse that level of connection with nature.
And it shows the dynamic at play. Fear can cripple us.
But understanding can transform even the most dangerous situations.
It gets to the heart of what the book's exploring, doesn't it?
That true power isn't about domination.
It's about aligning with the forces around us, working with them.
And that's what the alchemist keeps emphasizing, right? Listen to your heart, trust the journey, even when it seems impossible.
The world speaks many languages, he tells Santiago. The desert talks with the wind.
There's a lot of wisdom packed in there.
And Santiago, trying to decipher this language, he starts to question everything. He even says to the alchemist at one point, "My heart is a traitor. It tells me to turn back."
And the alchemist's reply,
Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself.
oh man, that hits home.
Doesn't it? How often do we let that fear, that what-if thinking, stop us from taking a chance?
From taking that leap.
The alchemist is showing Santiago that courage isn't about having no fear.
It's about feeling it and moving forward anyway.
And Santiago does push on. He faces doubts, anxieties about failing, all while dealing with the very real dangers of the desert. Lost, alone.
Tribesmen, not exactly friendly.
Right. It's like the desert itself is another character testing him.
Pushing him to rely on his gut,
Yep.
forcing him to strip away everything familiar.
And through all of this, the alchemist keeps saying, when a person truly desires something, all the universe conspires to help that person realize his dream.
It's a potent idea, not some magical wish fulfillment, but
The power of intention. Aligning our actions with what we truly want. The universe responds to that kind of commitment.
and it's not just about reaching the goal. It's about how you change along the way.
Santiago's learning, constantly, deciphering omens, trusting his intuition, drawing on the wisdom all around him. He even starts communicating with the wind, asking for guidance. It's like he's tapping into this natural wisdom.
The elements become his allies. It's all connected, part of that soul of the world.
And his connection with Fatima, even though they're physically apart, it deepens. They both seem to understand this language.
It's a love that transcends distance. They know somehow that their paths are interwoven.
But just as Santiago's starting to grasp all this, he and the alchemist, they're captured
Out of the blue.
by tribal warriors. They think they're spies.
Talk about a sudden turn of events.
And it's this moment, facing death, that the alchemist reveals the true nature of, well, the philosopher's stone, the elixir of life. He doesn't use them to escape or fight.
So what does he do?
He teaches. He tells the warriors he has these legendary substances.
Knowing they won't believe him.
It's not about convincing them, it's about showing Santiago. True wealth, immortality, they're not external things.
They're about living your purpose, connecting to that soul of the world.
The alchemist knows that external validation, it means nothing in the end.
Fulfillment comes from within, aligning with your purpose.
Embracing the journey no matter how difficult it gets.
And somehow, they're released. But it's not over. As they journey toward the pyramids, another obstacle appears.
A huge one. An army blocking their way. This is the culmination of all those tests.
The embodiment of fear itself. And the alchemist, he knows this is a battle Santiago has to face alone. He offers one final piece of advice.
Cryptic advice.
Surrender to the desert. Become one with the wind.
It sounds crazy.
Impossible, almost. But Santiago, he's got no other choice.
He has to let go of everything he thought he knew. It's the ultimate act of faith. Letting go. Surrendering to something bigger than himself. And that's when it becomes clear. He's truly committed to his personal legend.
This is where things get, well, kind of mystical. Santiago actually starts talking to the desert.
The wind, even the sun.
Not like, normal conversation.
It's more like, Telepathy, maybe, this deep, intuitive connection.
Coelho is exploring this idea that everything's connected, vibrating with energy.
And if we quiet our minds, tune in.
We can tap into it.
And Santiago, he asks the wind for help.
To transform him, to merge with its power.
Bold move. And the wind, it tests him.
Challenges him to prove that he understands love.
Because love, in this context, it's not just an emotion.
It's the force that binds everything.
It's a catalyst, driving transformation.
And in Santiago, he gets it. He talks about how love can change the falcon into the game.
The game into man.
And man back into the desert.
It's a cycle, this beautiful understanding of creation and renewal.
It's like he's not just learning about alchemy. He's becoming an alchemist. An alchemist of the heart.
The wind, seeing this, agrees to help. And then this huge sandstorm erupts.
Swirling around Santiago.
Then he disappears.
Gone. Poof.
It's symbolic, isn't it?
Death and rebirth.
Transcending limitations. Becoming one with something bigger.
The tribal warriors. They're speechless. They've witnessed something beyond their comprehension.
And they recognize that this power, they release Santiago. He's not just a boy anymore. He's
a force of nature.
Touched by the soul of the world.
But remember, he was originally looking for that treasure, buried near the pyramids.
And here's the thing, the treasure wasn't what he expected.
It wasn't gold, wasn't jewels.
The real treasure was everything he had experienced along the way.
The people he met, the lessons he learned. It's a powerful message,
Real riches aren't material things. It's about following your heart, facing your fears.
Becoming who you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And before they part ways, the alchemist gives Santiago a piece of the philosopher's stone.
It represents that transformative power. It's a reminder that the journey doesn't end. We keep growing, evolving.
So Santiago returns to where it all began, that Spanish church where he first dreamed of treasure. And digging beneath the sycamore tree,
he finds a chest, overflowing with gold coins and jewels.
Wait, what? So there was a physical treasure?
There was, and I think it's important. It's like a symbol of abundance.
The universe provides.
When we trust the journey.
And as Santiago's taking it all in, he hears the alchemist's voice, carried on the wind, reminding him that even the pyramids, those initial symbols, were part of it all, shaping his transformation.
Every step has its purpose, even the detours, even the setbacks.
And so, with a heart full of love and a spirit full of possibility, Santiago sets out to reunite with Fatima.
Back to the oasis, back to the woman who represents love, connection.
He's come full circle, but he's not the same. He understands the language of the world now.
He's living in alignment with his heart.
The Alchemist, it's more than just a story. It's like a guidebook, reminding us that we all have a personal legend. It's a call to action.
Listen to your heart. Embrace the unknown. Trust that the universe is on your side.
And ask yourself, what's your personal legend? What steps are you taking to uncover it?
The answers are within us, waiting to be discovered.
All we have to do is listen, trust, and take that first step.
That's it for this deep dive. Safe travels on your own journey.